Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, and today I have a special guest with me. It's my buddy Jason.
That's right, and we're going to talk a little bit about the new announcement from Arcade1Up, the couple cabinets that are coming out, and we'll touch a little bit on the competition.
That's right, coming up. All right, so what's the first thing we're going to talk about, Jason?
Well, I'd like to talk about the misdirection that I had when you told me that Arcade1Up was coming out with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and XMen.
That's what I said. I said TMNT and XMen.
And I immediately thought, that's fantastic, because XMen is a good arcade game. I remember it as a kid. It had like the 6 players, the big one, and then the 4 players. And then I realized when I looked at the article you sent me that I was completely wrong. It's a different XMen game.
Yeah, it's not XMen.
Yes. Well, it is XMen.
It's just not the X-Men.
Yes. Okay, we could figure that out.
Well, why don't you explain it to me? Because I clearly don't know what X-Men is.
X-Men is a comic book that started in 1960. Well, let's not go for that far back.
Okay.
X-Men was very popular in the 90s for you, those of you who weren't around in the 90s. In fact, I would say they were more popular than much of the current Marvel universe that we have today. And they came out with a series of video games. And one of the games that did come out actually led to quite a few sequels, or different incarnations. Later, it became like the Marvel vs. Capcom game. But one of the first versions was an arcade game called XMen Children of the Atom. And that's what we see here in the announcement today.
Yes.
Is one of the games that is coming out on the Arcade1Up system. One of the things that I did pull up some video of some of the action from this game. And I really did actually... I had forgotten this game existed, but it was a really cool game for me. I loved the X-Men. My favorite character was Cyclops. Doesn't get a lot of love as much as that other guy with the claws, Professor X. That's not the right guy. Anyway, but one of the things I immediately struck me about the games that I actually really love, and it's kind of silly in a way, because when Cyclops is fighting, he has to say what he's doing as he's fighting. And I think this is really interesting. And it's not just Cyclops. In the Street Fighter series and the Marvel vs. Capcom series, they would announce what they're doing as they do it, whatever power they're using. But Cyclops is one that really resonated with me. The optic blast, and that took me back to my childhood.
Really?
When I watched the video and saw the optic blast, and I thought to myself, I could get into that. And of the games that were announced today, it's not just the X-Men on the cabinet. It's also the Marvel superheroes, which I believe came after X-Men. And there's also this Punisher game that I know virtually nothing about.
No.
I saw on another video that it's more of the side-scroller beat-em-up type game, I believe.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's like a bonus game for me. Like, if I actually do put down the money to buy this cabinet, it'll be for the Marvel superheroes and the X-Men game, Children of the Atom. But I'm certainly curious to see if Punisher's any good. I don't think I've ever remember seeing it or playing it. So.
No, and that's really cool, because some other people had said, and I thought that was really interesting, this is the first cabinet by Arcade1Up that's both a fighting game and a beat 'em up. So you kind of get both. So it kind of, if you don't have a Street Fighter and you don't have Final Fight, this could be the cabinet for you, and it kind of gives you, both genres of games, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, look forward to seeing them.
And then you have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and this game looks really, really cool, because this is the first time Arcade1Up is doing a 4-player. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So if you look at that, the control deck looks really nice. I think I saw it was 2 action buttons per joystick. So that one is $349, and so that's $50 normal from their average normal retail price. So you're paying $50 more, but you're going to get 4-player. And a lot of people complained about the 3-player cabinet Rampage, and it was just those joysticks were just too close together.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, we have.
It is. There's a Rampage sitting here in this game room, and it is a little tight, a little too close for comfort to play with other people, I would imagine, unless you're got really long arms and skinny and all that stuff, and he can edit that out.
Yeah, and so what's also really cool is each of the joysticks are different colors. Of course, it's going to match the original design of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and that cabinet did have the control deck sticking out further than the actual cabinet, so it's right in line with the original design. The artwork on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is stellar, right?
Yes.
They did this really well. You got the trim. You got a lot of trim around the control deck, a little extra T-molding there, and it looks very, very nice.
And I'm looking at a picture of a kind of the angled view of the cabinet, and it has that outstanding picture of a real-life actress playing April O'Neil holding camera. It does take me back to my childhood, which is the main reason for these things being so popular and gaining the steam that they're gaining. Sometimes when you see certain games like Centipede or something like that, that doesn't really have a lot of meaning for people our age who grew up in primarily like the 90s. But when you throw out that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4 players in an arcade setting, I remember that being the game that I would go to most often. A lot of the times, I really loved this, along with The Simpsons is another classic example of the 4-player, and the XMen arcade one, which really outdid them and did the 6-player cabinet.
Right.
At times, they had a 4-player also, I believe.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So it is really cool. I look forward to maybe sharing this experience with my son and really getting back into that, because he knows the Turtles well enough, and he'll probably get a kick out of it just like I did when I was not that much older than him.
Yeah, it was just last year that I introduced my daughter to the original movies from the 90s.
Oh, we haven't done that yet with my son.
And I got to tell you, they're really good to watch with a kid, They're really, really funny.
Was she confused by the lack of computer animated graphics?
No.
Like, where's all the explosions and the people that aren't there,
Yeah, it didn't need to have any of that.
I need to see it. I haven't seen it for a very long time, but I do think my most vivid memory of those movies is probably Raphael. And at one point, does he lower his head into his shell, and they miss him? This is science, by the way. And then he dodges it because he's a turtle, and then he states that he loves, in fact, being said turtle. So
it's a good scene.
It is a good scene. I need to, like I said, watch those movies again.
Yeah. What's also really cool about this cabinet is that it comes with 2 games. So not only does it have the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game, but it has Turtles in Time. And in fact, a lot of people are saying this cabinet, if it comes with Turtles in Time, then it's over. It's a day one purchase. So I think Arcade1Up knows what the customers want, and they're trying to get back to them.
Yes, get that X-Men one coming, and Simpsons, I think, is...
Yeah, and they still have some more announcements this week.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So it's possible that they'll have Simpsons. That could be.
It seems like they already got the 4-player thing set up. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm not an engineer, so I don't know what it would take, but it'd be cool.
Yeah, it would be cool. So the other thing we wanted to talk about is the new announcements from AtGames, and I think this one is really, really interesting. AtGames seems to be going in a completely different direction. At E3, there's an announcement of more games from Arcade1Up, and these are very specific cabinets that are designed specifically for these games. But AtGames is going in the other direction and making a multi-arcade cabinet that's going to hold, it's going to hold like 350 games, and it's got some people concerned. Now, I made a video on that earlier where we talked about how it's possible that these actually might be pretty good, because we heard that they're going to be using a spinner from Glenn's Retro Show. So with the AtGames, it's really interesting. Some people are saying that they're not really into getting the AtGames new arcade cabinet because they assume the first thing, it's going to come with 350 games. 350 games? That's a lot. And everyone's assuming that it's going to be filled with a whole bunch of games that are like console ports.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so...
Yeah, that doesn't really fit the arcade feel.
No, not really. And so we don't know for sure if they're going to go in that direction, but they did say 350 games. The other thing people are concerned with is with a very generic control panel, you're not going to be able to play the variety of games. Some of the games just may not work well.
Yeah. And I would remind you that this is also the company that threw, what was it, like 85 games or so on the Sega Genesis Classic deal that they came out with.
Right.
And there was actually only 45 games, I believe, of Sega Genesis on there. A little misleading. So when I see the 350, I'm like, okay, is it like Pong 1 through 8?
Right.
Or what are we getting here? Or is it like Solitaire or like all these games that you have no interest in playing? Some of the games that I'm seeing on the picture here of the front of the cabinet, the one that sticks out to me is Star Wars.
Yeah.
If it's the one I'm thinking of, it might be kind of cool. And then Tetris is, of course, a classic. Some of these games, I don't know that I even recall what they were, but that just might be me. I mean, these are generational things. So the game that means nothing to me might mean a lot to another guy.
The other concern that I've heard from people talk about is how it's a 21.5-inch screen, but a lot of the games are vertical. And so when you play a vertical game on a widescreen, there's got to be a pretty large bezel, in fact. So it's like half your screen is a bezel, and you got this tiny little... Whereas on the Arcade1Up, although they're not perfect, but they have two types of cabinets, one that's vertical, one that's horizontal, and they only put games... Typically, they only put games on the vertical that are actually for vertical layout, and it works pretty good. The resolution, the aspect ratio is not 100%, but it's close.
Right.
It's not too bad. But when you go with this AtGames cabinet, the screen is really large, but again, some of those games are vertical, and you're going to have a pretty large bezel. And that's just kind of how it works. And so even if you were to take a normal Arcade1Up cabinet, swap it out with a larger screen, throw a Raspberry Pi in it, these are all the same problems that you'd run into anyway. So the only difference is they're selling it fully licensed. You don't have to download any ROMs or anything like that. It's basically tons of games, probably the games that you're probably going to have. No, it's not going to have the games you'd probably have, because everyone who's getting a Raspberry Pi and throwing 1,000 games in the Arcade1Up, they're actually picking images that have tons of games that they actually like. It's going to have Street Fighter on it. It's going to have Marvel on it. It's going to have all those Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Whereas, guess what? The AtGames or AtGames cabinet's probably not going to have all those big heavy hitter titles on it.
Not likely, because it costs money. And again, you might end up with like Stickman Golf or something like that.
Yeah.
Wait, is that a real game? That might be a real game. I don't even know. I made that up, but I might not have. So.
Yeah, so when I was discussing this on the channel earlier, I was saying how, if you're already spending all that money customizing your Arcade1Up cabinet, then maybe the AtGames cabinet would be for you. But in reflection of it, the fact is if you do get an Arcade1Up cabinet, say the Street Fighter one, swap out the joysticks, put in Raspberry Pi, and throw a whole bunch of game on it, although those games won't be licensed, it'll probably be a better cabinet than the AtGames cabinet, at least what we see today.
But the size matters.
That's an interesting point. Whereas the AtGames cabinet is full size. Now, they are actually coming out with two versions of the cabinet.
I'm sorry, I'm still stuck on size matters.
Okay, so there's two versions of the cabinet, right?
Yes.
One that's full size and one that's 3/4 size.
Yeah, it's a little shorter, and I was trying to find that. It looks like this is from thegamer.com. They do have an article up there on this cabinet, and it looks like the two options are $599 for a 66-inch full-size unit and $399 for a 46-inch compact.
So yeah, the $399 for the 46 compact will be on par, I think, pretty much with the Arcade1Up cabinet. Now you're going to pay $100 more for the AtGames, but I'm guessing it's going to come with all the same games as the larger cabinet. But there's been a lot of people that have also been saying the artwork for the AtGames is not great. They tried to put it all together and mix the characters.
It's not easy to do.
No, and I also heard that they're gonna come out with some variations, and that may be because people are complaining that they don't like the artwork, so they're like, oh wait, we're gonna come out with some variations, and so
and we're not gonna see this until the fall, I believe.
Yeah. Well, maybe that'll give some time to figure it out, and maybe they'll come out with something really good. But, you know, if you're going to spend $600 on a cabinet, I would hope that it's just ready to go. Yeah. It's going to be nice, and you're not going to want to change out the artwork. Because if you're going to get this 350 game cabinet and then swap out the artwork and then put a Raspberry Pi on it on top of it, I don't know if it's going to be worth it.
Yeah, I mean, it's unless you just happen to have that money sitting around, it's not, you know. I mean, you can get a nice home console for less money than that.
Yeah. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching our video. This is the first time Jason and I have done a video together, and we really enjoyed it. We've known each other since I was a year old. He's only a year younger than me, and so when we talk about retro games, we played these games together as kids. He had Sega, I had Nintendo. We played in the arcade together for years and years and years, but as we became adults, we kind of moved away and didn't see each other for many years, and then we now live in the same town again, so it's awesome that our friendship can grow once again. So thank you again, Jason, for joining, and comment down below. Of course, we want some comments about the topics at hand, about Arcade1Up's new cabinets and AtGames, but also let me know if you enjoyed this new type of video, kind of more of a podcast style, and if you do, maybe I can convince Jason to come back and do a few more of these. So yeah, everyone, take care. Thanks, and I'm gonna put some outtakes after this. It'll be kind of funny. You can laugh at it and whatnot. All right, take care. Bye. Yeah. Now, I've been really excited about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for a while.
Right.
And I said that really bad, and I want to redo it.
If you want. Say it again.
All right. Well, I've been really excited about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I cannot say Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
It's gonna be all right.
Okay. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I've been really excited about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for a while. Every single time I shoot a video, this is what it's like.
That's okay. That's all right.
TMNT?
Just say, I've been excited about that game.